Aside from creating horror stories full of puzzles and mysteries, Identity 5 is also known for crafting side stories that are heartwarming and meaningful. These stories often move players to tears with their emotional depth. Take The Christmas Nocturne, for example. Released in 2020, it featured unforgettable moments like Patricia's sayings and Emma's wishes, which carried deep significance and left a lasting impact on players. This year, the IDV team has delivered another touching tale with the 2024 Autism charity event titled Autism Charity Project, 1% of the Planet. While some players might skip over this side story, I decided to dive in. After experiencing it, I'd say this is easily one of the most emotional and meaningful side stories IDV has ever presented, and that's what we're going to delve into today. And of course, we can't ignore the debates among fans ever since Anne Lester was chosen to represent the Autism charity event. Some argued she wasn't the best fit due to a lack of evidence in her lore, while others believed Aesop, with his struggles with mental health, would have been a more fitting choice. So, how does this play out in the event? Well, let's find out together. This is your broadcaster Silmina, signing in. The 2024 Autism Charity Event, officially named Autism Charity Project, 1% of the Planet, is a charity initiative by NetEase through Identity 5. Focusing on autism awareness and support, this event began on November 28th and will run until December 11th, 2024. It's one of many charity events NetEase has held in Identity 5, with previous examples including the Panda Protector event, Estrella Night event, and 525 charity event. Typically, these events involve selling special skins purchasable with echoes, with proceeds donated to charities. Skins linked to charity events are marked with a heart-shaped emblem on the top right corner of their portraits, distinguishing them from similar skins released later. Charity events in Identity 5 often include stories tied to the featured characters, offering players rewards like emotes and stickers, while also expanding the lore. For instance, the Estrella Night event gave deeper insight into Helena's blindness and family life. Similarly, the 1% of the Planet event hints at Anne Lester's backstory. Since Anne is the central figure of this event, many players have speculated that she might have autism. While some fans support this idea, others remain skeptical, as Anne's lore doesn't clearly point to it. Personally, I'm not entirely sure, as my understanding of autism is limited. Still, I would try my best to present you a theory about why Anne was chosen to represent this event, which I will reveal later on. As for the story, I would say that the event's story is heartwarming and deeply emotional, to the point that it moved me into tears. After the heartbreak of the closing night event, this feels like a much-needed remedy. It offers not only a deeper understanding of Anne herself, but also a thoughtful look into how deep parents' love is towards their children. For those who missed the story, I'll now unravel its details.
I have always believed that the most beautiful thing in this world is the smile of a child. They are always so delighted to see me. Except for this boy. He seems indifferent to everything. So many times, I still fail to understand.
I don't understand. What does this mean?
I still want to try, just one time, to get closer to you. Confused, unknown, quietness. Is this how you perceive the world?
他是我孩子，那我肯定不能放弃他。
I still wish to get closer to you.
他很小的时候就非常自己在
3岁多的样子，
不看人，
之前也没有了解过。
对视。
但他还是我独一无二的宝贝嘛。虽然他确诊了孤独症，但他真的很善良。我想让他和其他孩子一起上课。我也想他和其他孩子一起啊。我只想你快乐、健康就好。我们永远都会爱你。
These stars shine with kindness. I have always cherished them, for they will never be extinguished. When the deep night surrounds you, may they become your stars in the darkness. Voyager 1, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I've brought you many things this time too. Continue your journey with courage. Stay the course.
1% of the Planet tells the story of a mind guardian, played by Anne Lester, as she sets out to explore a mysterious blue planet covered in thick clouds. This planet isn't just any planet. It's a metaphor for the inner workings of a mind. In this world, planets symbolize people's minds. A bright and cheerful person might have a colorful, vibrant planet, while someone feeling down might have a gloomy one. It's a cool way to think about how unique everyone's mind is. Among all these planets, there's one that really stands out, a special one, hidden beneath heavy clouds. It's said to belong to a unique child. Anne, along with the player, dives into this planet's mysteries, hoping to understand what makes it so special. The story kicks off with the guardian meeting the player, who is a trainee guardian, and guiding them into a universe filled with planets. These planets, as we come to learn, represent individual minds. Just as there are countless minds in the world, there are countless planets in this universe. As they journey through, they come across a stunning golden planet surrounded by sparkling star fragments. The Guardian explains that these fragments represent precious and meaningful memories of the child who owns the planet. Their job as guardians is to find, witness, and preserve these fragments because they serve as a light for the planet during tough times, just like cherished memories can help people through dark moments. Intrigued, the Guardian invites the player to touch the golden planet. When they do, the planet speaks, sharing its story. The golden planet reveals the vibrant, joyful life of a child it represents. It talks about receiving toys for a birthday, the excitement of a promised trip to an amusement park, and the parents' heartfelt wish for their child to grow up happy and healthy. But as the planet continues, it shares a hint of loneliness. After moving to a new place, the child feels a little bored and wishes for a friend. Things get exciting though, when they find out a younger boy from a new family is moving into the neighborhood. As the planet speaks, a small blue doll dressed in a blue outfit appears on its surface. Curious, the player wonders if this doll represents the younger boy the golden planet mentioned. The Guardian explains that such objects reflect the planet's conscious mind, hinting that the doll is connected to the child's thoughts and desires. The Guardian and the player then come across a nearby blue planet, shrouded in thick clouds with no visible star fragments. This suggests that the child this planet represents doesn't have meaningful memories to guide them through life. The Guardian explains that some planets are naturally enveloped in clouds, making them unique in their own way. Intrigued, They decide to explore further to unravel the mystery behind it. As the player struggles to peer through the dense clouds, they notice small gaps where hints of beauty might be visible. While trying to get closer to the planet, they spot a box of cards. Curious, they approach it. The Guardian explains that these cards likely represent how others perceive the planet. They both agree to investigate further. When the Guardian and the player read the first card, they discover a question directed at the blue planet. Curious, they touch the planet to hear its voice. At first, it seems to ignore them, but then, faintly, the planet reveals a story about a young couple expressing concern that their son doesn't respond when they call his name. Eventually, the parents realize that their son might have autism. This moment lights a single star fragment on the blue planet, followed by a card explaining autism. This would mean that the first step to understanding people with autism and uncovering the star fragments of the cloudy planet is to understand autism itself. The card mentions that autistic children are often called children of the stars. While this metaphor aims to promote awareness and support, it also carries biases. Not all autistic individuals fit the romanticized image of exceptional talents, nor should they be stigmatized as weakened. The card emphasizes that to truly understand and support autism, we must move beyond these stereotypes. Players can dive deeper into the card's details, which explain how autistic children are often misunderstood, particularly in how they communicate and express emotions. Returning to the blue planet, the Guardian explains that the thick clouds surrounding it represent autism. The child this planet symbolizes isn't refusing to communicate or being aloof. Rather, they simply have their own way of interacting. The Guardian clarifies that these clouds, representing autism, are a permanent part of the planet. They can't be dispersed, but they coexist with it, showing that autism is a lifelong condition, not something to be cured. The Guardian and the player discover a new card that continues the story between the child from the golden planet and the child from the blue planet. It shows a touching moment when the golden planet's child eagerly plays with the blue planet's boy, despite some initial confusion, making an effort to understand him. At the end of their playtime, the golden planet's child says goodbye, expressing a desire to meet again tomorrow. For the first time, the blue planet's boy responds, simply saying, "Tomorrow." This moment moves the parents of the blue planet's child to tears of joy, as their child has always struggled to convey messages to others. Another star fragment lights up, symbolizing the deep, cheerful meaning that having someone close can bring to the mind of the autistic child, represented by the blue planet. The card then reveals how the autistic boy's parents help him cope by developing routines, trying new foods, and using mnemonic tools for daily tasks like bathing. It emphasizes how predictable routines provide comfort and courage to autistic children by helping them understand what to expect. Later, the parents are filled with joy when they see their son playing actively with his new friend and decide to make these playdates a regular part of his routine. The card highlights how routines help make life feel safer and more manageable for autistic kids. As they reflect on this, a spinning wooden top appears on the blue planet, symbolizing the meaningful connection formed between the golden planet and the blue planet. The Guardian explains that moments like these shape an autistic child's heart and create lasting joy. She adds that the golden planet boy's wish for a new friend has come true, but the most important takeaway from all of the moments they encountered so far is the children's smiles. The guardian shares her hope that no child will have to wait until adulthood to understand their needs or heal from their struggles. She likens the children's smiles to stars, saying she collects them to light even the darkest places, ensuring their happiness shines brightly. The guardian and the player discover another card that shares the concept of stars having their own language. Curious about its meaning, they touch the blue planet again, which reveals a new scene. This time, the scene depicts a family dinner, where the autistic boy waves his utensils at others, a gesture that might seem unusual to others. An elder in the family mentions that the boy has autism, and while the parents have grown accustomed to this behavior, they remain concerned about his ability to communicate and integrate into society as he grows older. Despite their worries, the parents, with support from others, begin developing effective ways to communicate with their son. As the parents find their own way to connect with the child, another star fragment lights up. The card reveals further details about the relationship between the child of the Golden Planet and the autistic boy from the Blue Planet. It shows that the child of the Golden Planet begins to understand the unique way the autistic boy communicates, describing their interaction as a special understanding between them. If the player chooses to delve into the card's details, they learn about the socialization challenges faced by autistic individuals, emphasizing how standard social norms can be perplexing for them. The guardian explains that while autistic individuals may struggle with conventional social interactions, they still have deep emotions. She stresses that being scolded or misunderstood can make them feel anxious or uncertain, highlighting the importance of acceptance and patience in understanding and supporting them. Later in their journey, the guardian and the player discover a heartfelt letter. As they read it together, they uncover a touching message written by the parents of the autistic boy. Despite the challenges and difficulties they faced in raising a child with autism, the parents express their unwavering love and commitment to their son. They reassure him that they will never give up on him, no matter how hard things get, and that they will always love him no matter what happens. The parents share how, at first, their son's diagnosis brought feelings of pain, sadness, and confusion. However, over time, they began to see his presence in their lives as a profound opportunity to grow more empathetic and understanding. What initially felt like a struggle became a meaningful journey that deepened their love and strengthened their bond. The letter ends with a heartfelt promise. Their child is not just a vessel for their expectations or dreams. He is his own person, and they will always love him unconditionally. To me, the letter shows how the parents acknowledge the autistic boy's love for them, even if it's expressed in ways that might be harder to recognize. The guardian and the player continue their journey by reading another card and touching the blue planet, which reveals a new scene. This time, the autistic child suddenly throws a tantrum while visiting a shopping mall with his parents. The exact cause of the outburst isn't clear, but the guardian explains that such reactions are natural for autistic children, as they are often highly sensitive to their surroundings. The overwhelming stimuli in the mall could have easily triggered the child's distress. The parents, initially unsure of how to handle the situation, gradually develop a better understanding of their child's needs. Over time, they learn strategies to help ease his condition. After this revelation, another star fragment lights up, symbolizing that the parents' growing understanding of how to manage the child's outbursts has brought new light into understanding autism. The star fragment also reveals details on the card, which includes a checklist, likely created by the parents, with steps to make the child more comfortable. These suggestions include using a blanket in the child's favorite color and favorite smell, providing canvas shoes with Velcro instead of shoelaces, and keeping potentially harmful items out of reach. Additionally, the card mentions that the child from the Golden Planet has started joining the autistic boy for breakfast, suggesting that, despite their differences, the two children have developed a deeper bond. Perhaps, the child from the Golden Planet has grown to fully understand and accept his friend's condition. I would say that's likely the case. Players can delve into the card's details to learn more about sensory processing issues, which make it difficult for autistic children to cope with various sensory inputs like touch, taste, smell, balance, and proprioception. The Guardian explains that the tantrum was likely caused by sensory overload, where noises, lights, and other stimuli become overwhelming for the child. The Guardian also points out that the star fragments surrounding the planet symbolize the parents' tireless efforts to connect with their child and create a supportive environment for him. Their dedication bridges the gap between the majority and minority, emphasizing that children with autism need understanding and support from others to successfully integrate into society. As the story progresses, new figures appear near the blue planet, which is dolls representing the parents and friends who have supported the child. Their presence gradually transforms the once dark, cloudy planet into one surrounded by warmth and light, highlighting the profound impact of love, acceptance, and understanding for children with autism. The Guardian and the player open the fifth card, revealing another step in their journey to understand the blue planet. The scene unfolds, showing the autistic child's parents growing increasingly knowledgeable about their son's needs with the guidance of a therapist. This support leads to a significant breakthrough. The boy expresses a desire to play with children his age. The scene shifts to show the boy joining a supportive peer group called the Star Class, composed of children with similar experiences. Despite this progress, the boy continues to cherish his time with the child from the Golden Planet, and their daily playtime has become a precious routine for both. This indicates that the two kids have truly become friends, bridging their differences through understanding and patience. As this revelation unfolds, another star fragment lights up, illuminating more details on the card. The card explains that autism isn't something to be cured, but rather a condition that calls for understanding, support, and accommodation. This approach enables individuals with autism to lead fulfilling and happy lives. Players can delve deeper into the card to learn practical strategies for supporting those with autism. The Guardian reflects on this by explaining that autism is a lifelong journey. When the player asks if people with autism can eventually be cured, the Guardian responds that while autism is a permanent part of a person's identity, the focus should not be on erasing it, but on ensuring they can live fulfilling, independent lives with acceptance and support. As the Guardian and the player open the final card and touch the blue planet, a new scene unfolds. It reveals the Star Class's teacher guiding the children through a painting activity. Among them, the boy represented by the blue planet is shown carefully painting a flower on his canvas. It's revealed that while his delicate motor skills still pose a challenge, it's clear he's making progress. After witnessing this heartfelt moment, another star fragment lights up, illuminating the final piece of the blue planet's story. The card reveals that the Golden Planet's child has been gifting a painting to his autistic friend on the blue planet. This simple yet meaningful gesture highlights the special bond they share and reflects the Golden Planet's child's thoughtful effort to communicate and connect in a way his friend understands. The gesture prompts the autistic boy's parents to reflect deeply on his potential future. While the story doesn't explicitly state their thoughts, I'd like to believe that this moment fills them with hope. Despite the uncertainties and challenges that lie ahead, the parents begin to realize that, with continued understanding and support, their son can lead a meaningful life. Players can choose to delve into the card's details, which explore modern opportunities available to individuals with autism. These details emphasize the importance of focusing not on what those with autism may struggle with, but on what they can, encouraging society to shift from limiting assumptions to empowering perspectives. With all the star fragments of the blue planet now lit, the planet transforms, adorned with vibrant and colorful brushstrokes. The Guardian remarks on the beauty of its evolution, while the player observes that the planet, like every child, has the potential to continue growing and thriving. The Guardian then notices a letter, revealed as a message from the parents of the autistic child. The letter expresses gratitude to those who work tirelessly to bridge the gap between autistic individuals and the world around them. It also serves as a heartfelt note of encouragement to others navigating similar journeys, acknowledging the strength and resilience required to embrace the unique challenges and joys of autism. The story ends there, but in my take, the story concludes with the parents affirming their understanding of autism and their commitment to supporting their child unconditionally. The Guardian reflects on the journey, remarking that while autism may present challenges, the love, effort, and support from those around can light up even the cloudiest skies. For a game that usually dives into mystery and leaves us piecing together vague and puzzling details, it's amazing to see it deliver such a heartfelt story. I was genuinely moved to tears, especially when the parents showed their unwavering determination to love and support their child, no matter what. It was such a powerful moment. Honestly, for a second, I imagined what it would be like if Identity V's entire lore included stories like this. Maybe it wouldn't just be a horror game anymore, but something closer to a story-driven masterpiece, on par with the To the Moon series, which, let's be real, makes almost everyone cry. The music is absolute perfection. I'd even go so far as to say it's some of the best I've ever heard in the game. And yes, even better than the closing night event. Sure, they're aiming for different vibes, so it's not entirely fair to compare them, but still, 1% of the planet absolutely nails it. If you're hearing it now, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's easily one of IDV's finest offerings. The story itself is amazing. If you've ever been confused by IDV's usual approach to storytelling, this one feels like an exception. It's not drowning in symbolism like the developers often do. That said, it's not entirely straightforward either. There were moments when I had to stop and reread passages to understand what was happening or figure out who was speaking. For example, the blue and golden planets are clearly meant to represent people's conscious minds, but sometimes I'd have to backtrack to fully grasp the scene. Still, it's much easier to follow than the usual lore, which, as I've mentioned in a past community post, often leaves fans filling in gaps with their own biases. What struck me most is how the story delivers such a clear, powerful message about autism, how it's perceived in real life, and how it should be perceived. I don't have autism myself, or maybe I do and I just don't know. But in my understanding, autism is a spectrum, so it's a broad subject. Even though I can't fully relate, this narrative helped me understand it a little better. I'd imagine those who experience autism firsthand would connect even more deeply with this story. Honestly, I'd love to hear their perspectives because my own understanding is still pretty limited. The animation, while simpler than Closing Night, is still beautiful. The choice of colors, gold for the bright, cheerful mind, and blue for the quieter, more introspective one, immediately sets the tone and helps you feel the story without needing words. The overall environment is done in light, soothing hues, almost like a nod to the idea that autistic people often find beauty in simplicity. And honestly, it's a reminder that simplicity itself can be incredibly beautiful. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, side stories in Identity 5 often reveal deeper insights into characters' lore, and this one sheds light on Anne's struggles. But before diving into that, let's revisit a question I raised at the start of the video. Is Anne autistic? The theory about Anne being autistic gained traction when she was selected to represent a role in the Autism charity event. Many players connected this to the precedent set by the previous year's charity event, where Helena, a visually impaired character in Identity 5, was chosen to represent a charity event for the visually impaired. Naturally, this sparked the question: if Helena's role reflected her real-life condition, does Anne's role indicate that she is autistic? I'll admit, my understanding of autism is limited. I've done my best to learn about it through sources like Wikipedia and other readings, and I've grasped some basics about its symptoms. As we know from Anne's second letter, she's implied to have experienced anxiety attacks. Now, anxiety is a symptom that can be associated with autism, but it's not exclusive to it. Experts often list anxiety as a differential diagnosis for autism spectrum disorder. This means that, while anxiety can appear in autistic individuals, it doesn't necessarily mean someone with anxiety is autistic. Autism spectrum disorder typically includes symptoms like communication challenges, restrictive and repetitive behaviors, and sensory processing issues. Based on what I've gathered so far, Anne Lester doesn't exhibit these traits in a way that suggests autism, so I'd hesitate to say she's autistic, even though some people believe otherwise. Still, I want to emphasize that my understanding is limited, so if anyone has more insight, I'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts. For me, the more meaningful question isn't whether Anne is autistic, but why Anne was chosen to represent this autism charity event. When you shift the perspective to that question, things start to make a lot more sense. Through her story, we get a deeper understanding of why she was a perfect fit for this role. In her lore, Anne's childhood was far from easy. Her father saw her as nothing more than a replacement for her mother's grace, beauty, and elegance, which she failed to be. As a result, Anne struggled deeply with her father's relentless expectations, enduring a painful childhood because she couldn't live up to them. This parallels the experiences of many children with autism. If their parents struggle to accept their child's autistic condition, they might place unrealistic expectations on them to behave normally. Worse, some parents may hold on to the harmful belief that autism can or should be cured, keeping those expectations unreasonably high. Anne's childhood pain mirrors the struggles faced by autistic children in such situations, making her a poignant choice to represent this event. But that's just one layer. There's another aspect that connects Anne to the story's theme. After enduring betrayal and hardship as an adult, Anne inherited money from her mother. With it, she chose to open a toy shop. The deduction quest doesn't explicitly state why she decided on a toy shop, but it's hinted that Anne found comfort in toys during her toughest moments. Now, tying this to the event, the Guardian cherishes children's smiles, seeing them as stars that brighten even the darkest places. Perhaps Anne's decision to open a toy shop stemmed from a similar desire, which is to bring joy to children, to ensure they don't experience the kind of pain she endured. Her dream aligns with the Guardian's mission in this 1% of the planet story. All things considered, it's clear why Anne was chosen for this autism charity event. Her childhood struggles resonate with the challenges faced by autistic children, and her dream of spreading joy to kids through her toy shop perfectly complements the guardian's mission in this story. It's a beautiful connection, one that adds depth and meaning to her role in this narrative. In the end, this story is truly one of the best that Identity V has ever offered. I honestly wish the main lore could embrace this kind of storytelling more often. Many of the main lore stories already carry their own tragic yet bittersweet moments, and giving them this level of emotional depth would elevate them even further. That said, before I wrap up this video, I want to stress that everything I've shared is just my personal take on the story, shaped by my understanding of the lore. You might see things differently, and that's perfectly okay. After all, stories like this are open to interpretation and discussion. Thanks for watching. This is your broadcaster, Silmina, signing out. See you next time.